All right, guys. By popular demand, sitting at home, I'm watching the Big Ten Championship, trying to figure out what's supposed to happen. Austin Gomez gets a slam, they disqualify him. Now, does that disqualify him from the entire tournament, meaning a placing, meaning eligibility to go to the NCAA tournament? I'm sitting around trying to figure that out, and you guys are asking me to make a Jon Jones video. Getting that through Twitter, and I got several text messages about it. And I got to tell you, there's two different perspectives here, right? It's a very interesting position that Jon has found himself in. Last night is the worst we've seen Jon Jones perform, aside from his match with OSP. OSP, and there was things going on, things that lined up with that match. That was the single worst version of Jon Jones the sport has ever seen. I bring that up because it went all 5 rounds. Jon won all 5 rounds. He won the strength battle, the conditioning battle, the understanding battle, the striking battle, and the grappling battle. And that was his worst performance. So now let's go ahead and take a look at last night. The takedown that Jon got was clumsy. It wasn't on purpose. That wasn't a plan. That wasn't something that was drilled. It was clumsy. What Jon found that he would have had no way to know until he got in there is that Ciryl Gane was scared to death. The way that Ciryl Gane ran from Jon dropped my jaw. I'm not the biggest believer in Ciryl Gane. I don't want to be a jerk to guy, ever kick a guy when he's down. I've been in his exact spot. I am not giving Ciryl the business. I'm just trying to share with you guys. While I wasn't the biggest believer, understanding that Ciryl is 1-1 in his last 2. Ciryl was not the first choice for this match, and Gane was. Ciryl was not the second choice, Stipe was. Okay, so we went with our third choice. Understanding that, I still didn't know that Ciryl was scared. Ciryl is allegedly, I've never seen it with my own eyes, but I've been told, a professional kickboxer. I've never seen him do it with my own eyes, but I'm told he had a record something along the lines of 27-2. So people love to tell you how you got to be good at grappling. They used to sell T-shirts back in the 90s. 80% of fights end up on the ground. They were trying to sign you up for their grappling gym. There's some truth to that. About 80% of fights end up on the ground, but 100% of fights start standing up. So Ciryl is a striker, and we're going to start this damn thing in your realm. Can't be scared. Just can't be. Just on paper and just by the numbers. There are things you could look at on paper and by numbers where you could be scared. You would have the right to be scared. It would be a normal human reaction. If you're standing up, if you're the bigger guy, if you're the more active guy, if you're the younger guy, if this is your weight class, if you have done this isolated 27 different times, you can't be scared. You just can't. So when you fight scared, when you're running away from something, look, there's a time to back up. Sport I come from, the sport of wrestling, they won't let you do it. The sport of wrestling, you must stand your ground or be going forward. In the sport of boxing, you can back up the whole time. There's boxers known for running every day, getting their endurance up. Sugar Ray Robinson ran 5 miles every day. He ran backwards. Because when the fight came, he only went backwards. He only went backwards, made the guys come to him. Floyd Mayweather, known for going backwards. So I'm not teasing fully the idea that somebody would back up, but to watch Ciryl Gane, every time Jon Jones flinched, Ciryl jumped. Jon Jones is throwing 2s right down the middle. I mean, for Jon to step into range like that, to have the confidence to step into range like that, really was a surprise to see. And when Jon got him down to the canvas in what was easily the sloppiest takedown of the night, and possibly the sloppiest takedown in the history of the division, Ciryl didn't know what to do. And again, I've been in Ciryl's shoes. I'm not trying to give him a hard time. But when you find yourself in that spot, and the announcers are telling the world, now's the time to hand fight. Now's the time to cage with your elbow so the hook can't come in. While that is the perception the world has of what you're trying to do, your math is a little different. Your math is, I was scared of this guy to start with. I was the third choice by the organization. I didn't want to fight this guy to begin with. And One area that I was supposed to have an advantage, we're now no longer in. And when I was in it, I didn't have an advantage. He walked me down. He threw the big shots. I turned and ran away. Now I'm in his world. Somebody get me out of here. Somebody get me the hell out of here. Give me the press conference. I'll say something cute and get me back home. We can try this again in 3 months. That's what happens. You saw 11 fights last night. You saw that happen 11 times. You just don't know you saw it. 11 times, somebody in that contest said, get me to the locker room. Ciryl just did it really fast. And to look at the confidence that Jon had. We don't know if Jon's gotten more powerful on his feet. We've heard that from his coaches. We don't know it. We sure as hell didn't see it. We didn't see some great kickboxing last night. We didn't see some power from Jon Jones. We didn't even see great wrestling. We basically saw a guy running away fall over his feet. Keeping Ciryl down and having that pressure with the hips, I must concede, was very good. Very good technique and position. It's opposite of what the sport of jiu-jitsu will tell you to do. What Jon did, jumping over both knees, jiu-jitsu likes to call that full mount. That's not what that was. You'll never see in a jiu-jitsu match where it's done like that. That was wrestling. Push your hips in, get your head high, push elevation, start to come down on his neck, make him want to be somewhere else. And that's what happened. It really was an incredible moment. And you watch that incredible moment, and you're left with, well, what do we do now? We stacked the deck against Jon in every possible way. We took his steroids away. We took his gym away. We took his management team away. We took his momentum away by making him sit on ice for 3 years. What do we do now? How do we possibly create an idea within the audience's mind that somebody can beat him? And that's tough. You're going to need a guy that comes out and does an interview very similar to the one that I'm doing right now. You're going to need a guy that comes out and does an interview and says, I will not run from him. I will stand my ground. I am not afraid of his long arms, of his jab and his cross, or anything that he can do with wrestling. And the guy's got to mean it. He can't just come out and say it. The guy's got to mean it. If you're going to fight Jon Jones, you got your hands full dealing with Jon in the first place. But if you're going to fight him scared, if you're not going to bring your tools, if you're in your world, which is stand up, and you're going to turn and run away. I mean, when Ciryl turned and ran from Jon the first time, I'm sitting there thinking about, what the hell did he think was going to happen? I mean, Ciryl almost looked surprised that Jon was throwing a punch at him. Almost like Ciryl wanted the referee to do something. Like, referee, this guy's trying to punch me. It was really bizarre. So you had two guys last night with the same objective, with the same thought pattern and the same process. You had two guys in that octagon wanting Jon Jones to win and win quickly. And that he did.